One. All right, what's up, everybody? This is Cody, aka DFS Prodigy, coming to you live with Matt Kelly from Matty Daddy's podcast. We're both basically representing Matty Daddy, which I'll share that Twitter link in the description below. If y'all ever heard of that, it's a huge WWE basically content on Twitter, Instagram, even have merchandise. So, but right now we're here breaking down NXT Takeover, Stand and Deliver before WrestleMania. So I'm here with, like I said, Matt Kelly. So how's it going, my man?
Hey man, it's good. I got to watch NXT Stand and Deliver, Takeover Stand and Deliver, live on night number 2. I watched night number 1 this morning before we jumped on, and much to the credit of the name, it stood and delivered for a lot of the matches. In my opinion, it was really what you've come to expect from an NXT Takeover. It really sets the bar and the mood for WrestleMania week, man. So I liked it. It was a good show.
Yeah, for sure. So basically my plan is we're going to go over each match and just kind of give you all our thoughts, our rumors, stuff like that. So starting with night 1, if you have not watched this is obviously going to be a spoiler show, so definitely don't watch this if you haven't watched NXT Stand and Deliver. So but if you have, obviously we're just going to kind of do a recap and our thoughts on why we like the match, so on and so forth. So starting with Raquel Gonzalez, the new NXT Women's Champion. What do you think of this match, my man?
The match itself was really, really good. I was surprised to see Gonzalez go over, quite frankly. I thought it was a quick turnaround from her being essentially the muscle to Dakota Kai for, essentially since she's been on the NXT roster, more or less, to her first shot at a title and winning it on what is NXT's biggest stage, which is their takeover that they do now every season before WrestleMania. So I was pleasantly surprised. Io is probably, man, she's so good. It's ridiculous. She puts on a classic. She's the Johnny Gargano, if you will, of the women's division. To me, it's just, Io Shirai is going to deliver every single time. So I don't know if this is curtain calls for Io Shirai in NXT, because she's done more or less everything that she's has to do there in NXT. There's no one else really left for Io Shirai at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's what my initial thoughts are. Is I kind of envision Gonzalez winning because I think that they're going to call up Io Shirai to SmackDown. That's where I'm kind of looking at, is if she does get called up, this is the moment in time for her to get called up. There's really no other thing she can possibly do. Like you were saying, is she's won it all here in NXT. So in my opinion, I want to see her get called up, but then again, we've seen talent come and go in SmackDown, which I don't want the wasted talent of Io Shirai to be gone. Like we saw with EC3, guys like that, is it when they get called up, they kind of either goes boom or they completely bust. So
yeah, it's such a weird dichotomy right
yeah,
now in WWE, because NXT is so stacked, and they keep
yeah,
being so stacked. And then these talents go to the main roster, which is already stacked in and of itself. And guys and gals are getting left behind. Some of them do well, some of them don't. To your point, EC3. We've seen several talents here recently move on, such as Andrade. And it's a shame that those talents don't get utilized more on the main roster. So I'm with you. I'm ready for Io Shirai to have some fresh matchups to take that next step. But it's always that, a little bit of hesitation when they're going up to that main roster, how they're going to get utilized.
yeah. Like even including like Ricochet, if we saw him, he was a hell of a talent.
Right.
I mean, a
Right.
high flyer grappling monster on the mat and everything else to be included. And now look at him basically just gone away, not even included in any of the matches, therefore. So
No, there's going to be so much talent left off for
yeah,
WrestleMania this year. It's crazy.
it's crazy. Yeah. So in my opinion, I could have I saw Gonzalez basically winning this match because I knew there was not much left for Io Shirai. So I hope, like we said, I hope she gets called up. But then again, I just want her talent to be used in a great way compared to not being used whatsoever. So in my opinion,
Yeah, and
this
I
is
think
yeah.
Io.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're good, man.
I
Go.
was just gonna say, I was just gonna say, I think Io, from a physicality standpoint, like, she's so tiny, but we saw her jump off the damn set, over at NXT. We've seen her do multiple things like that. She has absolutely no fear, and she has everything to make her a star at the next level on the main roster. It's to your point. The question is can she do it? And I think really, I'm not taking anything away from Raquel Gonzalez. She's an awesome talent. She's huge. She's
Agree.
physical. But Io Shirai made her look good as well last night.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to the tag team titles. So I think so I did a podcast not too long ago and I kind of predicted MSK to win. I figured this would be an easy match for MSK, honestly, in the tag team. There's really not much to say on this. Basically, it was just we kind of knew MSK was going to come out there and win. What do you think of this match, man?
Yeah, I mean it's really what you expect out of guys that are kind of this size for a triple threat match for a takeover sort of stage. Grizzled young vets, they're always good. Legado del Fantasma, always good as well. Those guys are going to be, I mean, they're still relatively new to the NXT brand, if you will. Obviously, grizzled young vets have been over at the NXT UK brand for a while, so we're seeing what they're going to do here on the black and gold brand. But NXT's tag team wrestling is really the place you want to be if you're in tag team wrestling, quite frankly. And I was thinking about this before we jumped on today. And when we talk about the main card of WWE, the two most consistent tag teams for quite some time are the Usos and the New Day. 1/3 of the New Day, Big E, is out doing his solo thing. And then you have one half of the Usos who's been out for quite some time. And then everything else, honestly, has just been quite a bit of a mismatch of like,
Just
putting a bunch of singles
together.
talents together. Yeah, and it's the same thing. And I'm not taking anything away from like the women's tag team division, but I genuinely, outside of like Peyton, Royce, and Billy Kaye, who aren't a tag team anymore, a couple of others that have come up, Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, for that matter. I looked at them almost as like a tag team. They're no, they're now really being pushed as singles. There just isn't like a truly developed tag team in a lot of ways across the board in WWE, except for in NXT. And it's largely, unfortunately, in the men's division. Maybe we see a few more pop up as the women's, NXT tag team titles are like all of 2 or 3 weeks old. But back to the match itself, you're talking about great talents in the tag team division, and they delivered for me. It was a solid watch.
Yeah, exactly. I think none of them are going to get moved up anytime soon. I think they're going to still kind of develop here and there in order to move up eventually one day, which I definitely think they need to. Like you were saying, we've seen in SmackDown and Raw just teams pieced together that we really don't want to see half the time. Like with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest now as a tag team, if you want to count that, because I've seen now Bad Bunny's now working at the Performance Center, and training there nonstop, literally like 7 days a week.
Well, I mean that's exactly the point. And if you look at the tag teams again, just across the board, I mean, the Revival is no longer there either in WWE, and they were a fantastic tag team. DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, obviously. I mean, grant you, they're doing great things in their singles run, but WWE just keeps decimating tag teams after tag teams, and I mean, I would love to see them called up and have some feuds with New Day or whoever that might be. Street Profits, even. What are the Street Profits doing right now?
Yeah, exactly. We've seen the gimmicks of Miz and Morrison nonstop. Where this is nothing new.
Right.
It's nothing new with the New Day. We've seen this run go nonstop. So it's time where we need a tag team, a stable tag team, to move up and to basically stand and deliver. I mean, if you want to go with that route, this is literally like what we're trying to say is an NXT team needs to go stand and deliver in SmackDown or Raw to prove why the tag teams is still a thing in WWE. Because it's a huge step, it's a huge basically stepping stone of WWE is NXT moving up with tag teams to there. So in my opinion, I think we need MSK in our lives in SmackDown, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Agreed.
But going on to a huge match, in my opinion, Walter beats Santana. So how do you think of this match, man?
Yeah, to me, this is match of the night for night number 1. Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa. The only thing I didn't like from this match itself, and it has nothing to do with the actual match, but was actually the commentary. The commentary, for whatever reason, I don't know that they tried to do it, but the way they came off is that like suddenly Tommaso Ciampa didn't have it anymore, and that he was like trying to and it's like, have you watched a Tommaso Ciampa NXT Takeover match? Like Ciampa is Takeover. Him and Gargano specifically are Takeover. So if somebody asks me what match is going to steal the night, I'm going to ask, is Tommaso Ciampa or Johnny Gargano in it? And if they are, then that's probably my answer. 9 times out of 10 are those two guys. Quite the dynamic between Champa and Walter. Walter's been champ for over 2 years for the NXT UK Championship for over 2 years now. He's a huge, imposing figure. He's very, very different from any. If you haven't seen Walter, go right now and watch this match because Walter is just
This is a hell of a match.
Supremely impressive. Yeah, I got to see him at Worlds Collide, NXT Worlds Collide in Houston before the Royal Rumble in 2019 before or 2020 before all the pandemic stuff hit.
Yeah.
And Walter is super impressive live. Obviously, you have the faction there now in Imperium. I mean, there's not much not to like about Walter. Outstanding match though.
Yeah, so my prediction before this was also kind of Walter because I didn't know how Champa was going to be involved in the UK. That was my
UK, right?
If he won, how would he be involved? Would they try to fly him over to UK? Because I don't imagine that. I don't imagine them moving Champa anywhere. So that was my thought on that was how are they going to get Champa involved if he does win? And that's why I was like, it has to be Walter's win. You know what I mean? Even though Ciampa's talented as can be and one of the most highly touted prospects in NXT ever, in my opinion, easily top 3 guys in NXT ever to be in the brand. So, but I didn't see Walter losing this. There was no way, in my opinion. I really wanted to see Imperium. I wanted to see Imperium get involved. I really did. That's what I kind of wanted, but I'm surprised they didn't. But this is Walter's match, and it was a hell of a match for Ciampa too, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where like the believability factor, as far as like just from the standpoint of getting Ciampa over to the UK or involved in the UK, and not just, even in normal times, it would have been a weird spot, but obviously COVID times and like trying to get him through all the health customs and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it would have been difficult, but there were some good, hard 2 counts in that match, some near falls, if you will. Yeah, there were some good ones in there. So I think both guys worked really, really hard. And again, my favorite match of the night from night 1.
Exactly. So moving on to the 6-man gauntlet, I'm really surprised about this one with Bronson Reed. I was surprised he won, to be honest with you. I really was. What do you think of this match, man?
This might, man, it's so close. This might actually be my second favorite match of the night. It was a damn good match, especially when you consider 6 guys are in there. I think at one point there was 5. I think Leon Ruff got eliminated pretty early, but everybody else was in there for a good amount of time. I thought it was a little bit of a shortcoming for them to debut LA Knight like that, on the NXT Takeover stage. I thought he could have got more run in this particular match. So that part specifically was unfortunate, but he's kind of that heel figure right now, so you didn't mind it as much. And it seemed like they did a good job of setting him up with name's escaping me right now. Dexter Lumis after he got eliminated. So that feud should be pretty good between him and Lumis. That'll be a nice way to get LA Knight introduced to the NXT crowd. But there are a lot of great spots in this, a lot of near falls in this. You got to see what kind of athlete that Bronson is, and he's just like he's a huge throwback, dude, to guys that just don't have the body that he has, and you just don't see a lot of these types of characters in WWE anymore. He's doing stuff off the top rope. Enjoyed that while it lasts, because a man that size shouldn't be doing those things, and I don't know how long he can keep it up, but it's hella fun to watch while he's doing it.
He looks like, basically, Bronson Reed looks like a kind of Rhino / Ryback sort of guy, if that makes sense. If you remember him.
Yes.
They're both those guys. That's who he reminds me of.
Yeah, but enjoying some more food. But yes.
I mean, the athletic ability is what I'm saying. Athletic ability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, agreed.
Not the food-wise, obviously. But, I mean, athletic ability is there. You know what I mean? Maybe not the muscle, obviously. Give him a break. But still.
No, I mean, he's like, but no, I tweeted last night. He's just like, he's a big hoss, dude. Like he's physically strong. He doesn't look jacked like Braun Strowman or like Ryback. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. He's this throwback character that you don't see anymore. I like it. Like, I love his look and the way the way he does everything in the ring. I think it's great.
I really wanted Dexter Lumis though in this match. He's one of my favorite guys to watch is Dexter Lumis, just from a personality standpoint. I love the gimmick. I love him overall. But I like the feud now with LA Knight. I think it's going to work out pretty well. But then again, I wish it was Johnny Gargano versus Dexter Lumis. That would have been a hell of a match, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
That would have been, I mean, I don't even know what to say in that match. But this is easily a top 3 match of the night. Easily, I think. The 6-man gauntlet was definitely there. So
everybody but Knight pretty much got their chance to shine in that match, which is really nice.
Exactly. Yeah, it looked good from a standpoint of as a fan wise. It was a killer match.
Are you in on Cameron Grimes?
I can't get behind it. I can't.
Really?
Yeah, I can't.
It's growing on me a little bit.
I can't
get growing on me a little bit. It's taking a minute. Okay.
I can't. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just the gimmick for me. I don't like it.
Okay. All right.
It's just me though. Like, it's weird because from a fan standpoint, I've always been a fan of like a guy like a Dean Ambrose or a Kevin Owens or a Dexter Lumis. That's the personality I like, is that sort of like road. And the old Finn Balor, whenever he had the like hairstyle and everything, and the actual music dropping in the darkness completely. That's my kind of fan standpoint. So it's the gimmick for me. It's just how he is. The athletic ability is there for him, though. I think it's definitely there. Dropping down to Pete Dunne. What do you think of Pete Dunne? I want to get your thoughts on this one because I think we're gonna agree to disagree, maybe.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
That's interesting. Pete Dunne is, man, I don't have a definitive list sitting in front of me, but off the top of my head, Pete Dunne's a top 5 talent in NXT right now for me. He's almost as synonymous. He's maybe the tier below. You know, if we were talking fantasy football, if you will, and we were ranking guys in tiers, it would be Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa at the top for me. And then it's probably Pete Dunne is right under those two guys for the most part for me right now. Pete Dunne's done a great job getting himself in physical conditioning. All of his matches, he has probably some of the best psychology in ring for me as far as talents in the NXT goes. So huge fan of Pete Dunne in general. I wasn't sure how it would go over here with Kushida, but again, this is another really solid match for me. I enjoyed this match.
I think he's definitely a top wrestler. I just kind of wanted to see a little bit more out of him.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I wanted to see a little bit more of his control time in this match.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see his talent basically kind of rise up because it was NXT Takeover and Deliver. I kind of wanted to see it be a tier above or a variable above of what Pete Dunne can do. You know what I mean? So I think
it was a little bit different though, because Kushida is much more quickly paced.
That's what I was going to say is also Kushida's a man in himself where he's quick to the feet, quick pace, striking, everything. Yep. So that's where I give Pete Dunne basically the benefit of the doubt. But then again, it was Takeover and Deliver. It was Stand and Deliver. Like, you have to go above and beyond, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So
I thought it was, I thought they set the pace well for night one, because this is actually the first match on the main card.
Agreed.
So I thought they set the pace well. I don't know what the time of this particular match was. I feel like it was probably 15 minutes or less. Agreed. So I thought they did quite a bit for the time that they were given. I get what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree with that, because we have seen much more from Dunn.
From Pete Dunne,
But I thought he gave Kushida his. I thought he worked well with Kushida. I thought he gave him his spots. I thought both guys had their time to shine. The bitter end is probably one of my favorite finishers right now in WWE as well. Easily. So, overall, I enjoyed it.
So going over to night 2, where I think night 2 was a little bit better than night 1. Do you think night 2 was better, or do you like night 1? I know it's close. It's close.
Yeah, the pacing of night 1 for me was a little bit better overall. Stories told were probably a little bit better in night 2. So they both have a little bit of something for you. I was a little bit shocked at the way this card fell for night 2, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I coin flip, honestly. Yeah.
So starting with Kyle O'Reilly pins Adam Cole. What do you think of this match, man?
Match of the night.
Match.
It's got to be match of the night. For me, I was watching it, and it got probably 3/4 of the way through the match, and I'm like, this is some Gargano Ciampa vibes right now.
This is literally
we're going at each other. Yeah. Like that was my thought, and I'll explain that more as we get into it. But I was hesitant just because we hadn't seen O'Reilly, really O'Reilly on his own. We've seen a lot of Adam Cole on his own, but it's still always been with the Undisputed Era under the Black and Gold brand. We hadn't really seen a lot of O'Reilly on his own outside of the matches with Finn. So it was a little bit different. Not a huge fan, to be quite honest, of either of their entrance musics, but it is what it is. It's not going to be the Undisputed Era anymore. But huge vibes, like I said, of Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano during this match, specifically when Adam Cole took out the referee and then he hit the last shot and then realized he couldn't get the pinfall because he had knocked out the referee. One of the best spots of the entire match for me was when Adam Cole went for a pin and O'Reilly, like, just, you could have slid a tiny little sliver of paper under his shoulder, like he just barely, and that's all he did. It was like a shoulder shrug essentially to get it off the mat. Thought they sold that perfectly. Good physicality from both guys, really innovative stuff with the chain specifically tied to the top rope there. It was, up until this point, I didn't know, but overall it delivered for me. I didn't need the security guys going out there at the beginning of the match or whatever that was. It was weird. I mean, that was okay. Like it just, I felt like they needed, WWE thought maybe they needed a little extra flair. I didn't personally think it needed it for that particular match, but is what it is. But these guys worked their ass off. It was a great match.
I think O'Reilly stepped up to the plate in a big way.
Agreed.
Like you were saying.
Well, and we saw that with Finn too.
Yeah. I think he stepped up to the plate where he's proving now that he can be a number one guy by himself, not with the Undisputed Era, that he doesn't need them. So I think, like, it falling through the fucking ring, everything about it in this match was a Gargano fight. The way they handled themselves, the way that they got in each other's faces, you could see that the friendship was there, but it was still time to fight. You know what I mean? If
right.
Yeah, because in real life they're obviously best friends, and we saw that beforehand. Everybody knows that they are two best friends, the pizza and the pod, but they came out to fight, and O'Reilly stepped up in a huge way that I like to see.
Yeah, you get a lot of good, heated, sort of intimate type moments throughout this match. There's one where O'Reilly puts the chair around Cole's neck, and he thinks about stomping him, but he doesn't do it. He's like, I can't go that far, with it. Like, it's still in the back of his mind, sort of thing. The other one is where they set up the two chairs in the middle of the ring, and they're both sitting there just freaking exhausted out of their mind, staring at each other.
Knew. Like, they were
absolutely great match.
They were there to fight, and they were like, we're fucking getting this to be the fight of the night. Like,
that's where it specifically kicked in for me, though, of giving flashbacks of Gargano and Champa. I love that moment.
Yeah, it was a great match. Another one of my favorite guys, though, Karrion Kross beats Finn Balor. What do you think of this match?
God, Karrion Kross is a monster, dude.
Love him, dude. He's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, he is. He looks insane. He looks huge, and Scarlett as well looks like an absolutely, just $1 million beside him as well. That pairing is going to be hellacious for years to come. But yeah, Kross is a monster, it's so interesting because the size differential, you saw it as soon as the stare down happened. When Alicia Taylor was given the announcements, which kudos to WWE for doing the mic drop in the middle of the ring and having her announce, the match in the middle of the ring. That was a nice little throwback. Love that part of NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver. But yeah, Kross took some interesting moves from Balor, specifically a lot of submissions, which is something that I didn't expect out of Balor specifically, but then when, on a bigger talent like Kross, and I mean, Kross sold it very, very well. I think they both got all of their stuff in. Great match between these two. Great story, obviously, between the two as well, with both of them having lost championships that, they didn't necessarily
to
lose
injury.
To injury, if you will. So thought it was a good story, a good match. Kross, again, looks amazing. Scarlett, $1 million. Love the duo. It was awesome.
I wanted to see Finn Balor back to his demon days. I think that would have been key.
I thought for a second it was going to happen. I was okay with the X across the chest as like the war paint sort of thing. But a second I thought it was going to happen.
Go back to where the music would drop, the lights would fall out.
Right.
It'd be black. He'd be with the wig, the long hair, paint face, red and black, ready to go. I wish that would have happened, dude. That would have been so badass with him and Karrion Kross.
Yeah, I think he's going to carry out with this Hill persona for quite a bit. You know,
Yeah,
we're getting a different side of Finn Balor right now. We're getting a different intensity than we're used to seeing right now with
that's
Finn
just
Balor.
me from a fan perspective. I wish it would have
Right,
been like
right.
that. That would have been like chilled. My body would have been chilled. Like it would have been so badass, dude.
Also, kudos to NXT for making the CWC look amazing for this pay per view.
Oh yeah,
All of the screens that went around with the names and the entrance music and like all of that. I mean, the pay per view looked
they
awesome. I
stepped
know that
up.
won't last because fans are coming back obviously
Yeah.
soon, and we're excited about that. But I mean, they did what they need to do to make it look great.
Oh yeah. I mean, I liked it a ton. And like I said, I think this was a hell of a match. Karrion Kross stealing some of like Finn's moves, like you were saying. That was
Yeah,
badass
yeah.
to see. The announcers kind of caught on later into that. But I think as fans we kind of saw beforehand. We're like, wait a second, that looks familiar. Where's that from? And then obviously it was from Finn Balor, but this dude is going to be amazing for years to come. I can't wait to see Karrion Kross carry it out. I just don't want him to be injured. Once again, I hate that he was injured and lost the title. I wish that would have never happened, obviously, but it does happen in WWE time and time again. Which I want to see your thoughts whenever we go to the Gargano match. I'm going to talk to you about something in that, but this match in particular, I think this was really good overall. I give this match definitely a demon feeling kind of championship match. So the Johnny Gargano and Bronson Reed. I want to know your thoughts on this one because I could have swore something snapped in this match.
For me, this was up until O'Reilly and Adam Cole. This was match of the night. And again, this isn't me just trying to be, Johnny Gargano Mark, but Johnny Gargano just delivers every damn pay per view, and that's just how it is. And then we've already talked about Bronson Reed from night one. The dynamic from Johnny Gargano probably being 5'9", 175 to Bronson Reed being 5'11", like 330. That was wild to see. There were some great spots in there. You definitely got to see Bronson Reed display his strength. I like that it took Johnny Gargano, two finishes, one final beat, right? Or no, that's Champa.
That was Champa.
What is?
I don't remember.
Anyway, point is, took Gargano two spots to put away Bronson Reed, which rightfully so. It was not like Bronson Reed really impressed me from a cardio standpoint in this particular match. Like, I didn't think his conditioning was going to keep up with Gargano. Man, he was lockstep with Gargano throughout the entire match. If it was just wrestling match for wrestling match, this probably could have outdone O'Reilly and Cole, obviously with the stipulations and everything going on with O'Reilly and Cole. You got a little bit of extra there, but just from a pure wrestling match perspective, this match was freaking awesome.
Which, if we go back to what we were talking about with like talent overall, Austin Theory, we saw him in WWE. Now look where he's at now. Once again, back in NXT.
Right.
That's the problem with the talent moving up is they get into gimmicks and then all of a sudden they're gone. Like it's just not being used. When Austin Theory's a hell of a talent, like he has it, I think, in him to be a good talent. But back to Gargano and Bronson Reed, I think we saw the condition, like you said, and Bronson Reed definitely be there. I think he delivered easily in this match of what he could possibly do to Gargano. Gargano looked winded. I mean, he looked winded here and there. Gargano did, to be honest with you, in this match. Like it took a lot for Gargano to win this to a behemoth like Bronson Reed. I think it would have been different if it was Dexter Lumis, but then again, like I said, that's just from me being a fan. But Bronson Reed definitely delivered. I think that his talent's going to be here to come, and I think this was a hell of a match overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Gargano, man, he's North American champion right now. Anyway, he gets back into like the title hunt for NXT. Do you think when you said that we were going to do this together today, I found the gif of Johnny going NXT for life. I don't think Johnny wants to go back to the main roster, and I don't know if it was you and I talking about it or myself and CJ, but the only reason essentially that Johnny Gargano is still on the NXT brand is because Tommaso Ciampa got hurt. They were both, looking like they were going to end up on, I think it was Raw at the time, if I'm not mistaken. They were kind of making, they were kind of making those rounds. And it was like them and Ricochet and Aleister Black. They were all kind of there at the same time or whatever. God, Aleister Black is another name that Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason that we have, fortunately / unfortunately, Johnny Gargano still on NXT.
I just don't know how he would be used, which I don't. This is no hit to Gargano,
No,
but
not at all.
if we remember a guy like Neville, his same size.
Jesus. Yeah, Pac. Yeah.
I mean, but where is he now? He's not even known anywhere. Like, or even
well,
like,
he's on AEW.
I mean, but still, where he was a huge piece of talent on WWE.
Right.
Like they were building him up to be a somebody, and look what happened to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that list goes on, and it's endless now, especially when we're talking about that particular run of NXT talent getting called up.
In a body style of Gargano, that's where I'm kind of leaning towards. That is the body style of his is that's what's key.
I know, but there's also just so many good matchups. Like specifically, I brought up Gargano and Bryan, Daniel Bryan. That is, I think that would be just an absolutely insane match. I've heard a lot about that with Adam Cole too. Like partly why he's not specifically on the main roster. Which he doesn't want to move up.
Which that's why he
that could be too. But I've heard a lot about his size, and I look at Adam Cole, and it's like he's not that horrendously different. Like if you were to put him in pants, he doesn't look that different from Shawn Michaels. From a size perspective. So I don't know, man. I mean, to me, talent always wins over, and we've seen it time and time again, from Rey Mysterio to Daniel Bryan to whoever. It doesn't have to be the Braun Strowmans of the world to be to be in the main event. So
I mean, they'll just fight Shane McMahon then. I mean, obviously.
Oh God.
I mean, come on now, right? Everybody loves that match. Obviously, it's a hell of a match. But anyways, we see the talent come in and out, but I just don't want them to waste Johnny Gargano because he's a hell of a talent. He's definitely deserving of everything that he's earned in this NXT brand. So, going down to the women's tag team with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, I wanted to see Riot Squad get involved. I really did, but it didn't happen. So, how do you feel about this match, man? It was meh. It was just okay to me.
Look, this goes back to me talking about how little tag teams are actually developed regardless of the brand right now in WWE. Shotzi, I think Shotzi and Ember Moon are doing the best with what they have. I think they've had enough time and enough reps to sort of gel together. Candice LeRae specifically is probably one of the most improved talents on the NXT brand from the time that she's been there to the time to where she has now, both from an in-ring perspective and from a character perspective. So I love Candice LeRae. Indy Hartwell in this particular match is just still kind of raw. It's not a knock against her or anything like that. I think she's talented. I think she just needs time. So she was kind of, the odd person out in this particular match, and it showed in a couple of spots. So there were some nice spots. There wasn't anything. I mean, again, the NXT women's tag team titles are just still so new. So it's just like, I mean, I guess you can kind of see Candice and Indy as a tag team because they're both in the way, if you will. But it's just hard to like grip. Like, I still don't technically know who Indy is from a character standpoint. I know who Candice is. I know who Shotzi is, and I know who Ember is, but I just don't have any attachment right now to Indy Hartwell as a character. So it'll be interesting to see how she's developed. Overall, again, I really think Ember and Shotzi are doing really good with what they have to work with. Love how Candice has improved, and I'm interested to see where Indy goes. But as a match as a whole, it was probably the least favorite of the weekend, or not of the weekend, but of the two nights.
It just wasn't that much to say about it. You know what I mean? It was a women's tag team. I mean, this wasn't a Bayley, Sasha Banks caliber or Bianca Belair caliber match. So, which, speaking of Bianca Belair, what a talent she's been coming from NXT. I mean,
Bianca is damn well
deserved
of everything she's about to get, and in my opinion, that should be headlining one of the two nights of WrestleMania.
I agree, 110%. And a Bayley talent and Charlotte Flair, that was the women's NXT brand. That if we see all the main events right now, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair, literally NXT.
Even though, I mean, I don't completely disagree, but if you look at the main brand, right, and now there's apparently going to be I guess they're not going to defend those women's tag team titles across the board. And NXT has their own tag team titles now. But if you go up to the main brand, we have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as your champs. And they've been, I guess, technically together for about as long as you can have a women's tag
They've
team
been
together
together
at
for
this
a
point.
while. Yeah.
So, but if you look at everyone else, you have Mandy and Dana Brooke, who have kind of been coexisting as a tag team, which I don't know why. If that was if those were the plans for Mandy, then I don't know why you take her necessarily away from Sonya Deville. So that was just an odd thing to do. Same thing with Peyton Royce and Billy Kaye. I mean, I think everybody thinks that Peyton is going to be a star. I'm not denying that still, but it's just odd that they broke those two up. And Billy is entertaining as hell on SmackDown right now, so she's making the most of her time over on SmackDown. Love her. And then you have Natty paired up with
who was it?
Tamina.
Yeah.
And that's just an odd pairing. And
that doesn't make sense. That's what the thing is.
Respectfully, I still don't know who Tamina is as a character. And her in-ring ability is behind the times, is the best thing that I can, say for Tamina. Like, I don't get more out of her than a couple of punches, a super kick, maybe a splash. That's kind of the extent for Tamina. Like, I just don't see more. Anyway, point being, there's nobody else on the main on the main roster, if you will, that is any more of a dynamic duo than Candice and Andy. So I really think they did the best with what they had. So
yeah,
I don't think it would be any more different on the main brand.
Exactly. I mean, what they did with Alexa Bliss though is amazing in itself. I really like that. Are you a fan of Alexa Bliss right now or no?
Yeah. So I tweeted probably a month ago or so that Bliss, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton deserve huge spotlight at WrestleMania. I'm shocked that WWE has had such a long story told between those characters.
I think Alexa Bliss stepped
WWE.
I think it stepped it up.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. WWE is not necessarily known right now for long-winded storytelling. And this has been a very long story. It's probably the longest ongoing story in WWE right now. So I'm surprised. I'm impressed. Alexa Bliss specifically has done wonders in that storyline. And it also has made us realize Randy Orton is still damn good. I don't know how old Randy Orton is, but Randy Orton is still damn good. They deserve a huge spotlight. I don't know where their match is going to fall on the card for WrestleMania, but they deserve a lot of time. And again, I don't know if it's going to be like a gimmicky match as well.
Well, even just from a costume perspective, like what they did with the Fiend right now, I think it's killer. Like that's.
Ooh, we're going to differ there. I did not like it. I did not like it. I did not. Love it. Maybe it'll grow on me, but I mean, it feels like he can't stay like that forever. The Fiend already felt like a supernatural sort of being and character. So like if he would have came back as the same Fiend, I would have bought it. I didn't need the extra personally. I thought it looked a little kitschy. Like I didn't think
here's my question though. Do you think it's Bo Dallas, yes or no? That's my question.
No.
You don't think so?
I hope not.
I mean, just saying, it could be. Nobody knows for sure.
I think he's running his real estate business with Liv Morgan and
I mean, just saying, they are brothers in real life. I mean,
no, I know, I get it. I had not. It had be. Yeah, it had not crossed my mind, but I think Bo is.
I got you thinking. See, now it's
Bo is on his way out. I think Bo is. I mean, maybe, but Bo was he was the faux Sting when Sting came in as well. I don't know if you remember that the minimal WWE run with Sting where he there was like a mock Sting out there one night, and it happened to be Bo Dallas.
So, it's just a thought. Last match of the night for us is going to be Santos Escobar winning the Cruiserweight Championship. What do you think of this match, man? I kind of wanted Devlin, but what do you think of this one?
Yeah, Devlin's another one of those talents that I got to see out at Worlds Collide. He actually won the title out at Worlds Collide when I was there that night. So He is an absolutely awesome talent. Santos Escobar, in the same breath, man. I haven't seen as much as Santos Escobar, but I was
Agreed.
super impressed. I think this match started a tick slow. It really took about 10 minutes for these guys to get going. I think the match was, if I'm not mistaken, roughly about 20 minutes to open up the show, and the first 8 to 10 felt a little clunky and slow. But after that, the last 10 to 12 were what you would think a ladder match should be between two cruiserweight type of guys. So yeah, the last half of the match completely delivered. The first little bit, a little slow and clunky, but overall, when it came down to it, it was an overall good match.
It wasn't bad. It was just I didn't like how it got slower as the time progressed. Like in a ladder match, you want to see it go balls to the wall. You know what I mean? In a ladders match, but given that whenever like Escobar got up to the top of the ladder where he just stood there and just stared at Devlin, who was knocked out completely, I was like, you're just wasting time at this point. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was okay in my opinion. I wanted to see Devlin, but I think Escobar delivered. I think it was okay overall as the first match, but it is what
Good
it is.
little, good little bump there at the end from Devlin though, going through the ladder in the corner. That could have been disaster, and he took that nicely.
Yeah, exactly. Before we head out of here, my man, do you have any last closing thoughts on NXT Takeover and Stand and Deliver?
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite takeover from all time by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, the bar for Takeover is just so absurdly high at this point, but I thought everyone worked hard. It's a pay-per-view that I would recommend anyone that hasn't watched to go watch. So yeah, I mean, it's up there. It was a solid takeover. Again, it set the bar well for WrestleMania week. I mean, 8 out of 10 for me. If I was gonna, give it something.
Yeah, I agree. I think the caliber is for a Stand and Deliver is definitely there. Like you have to be top notch here for an NXT brand because this is where they get to show off all the talents. Like this is it because the average fans aren't going to really watch NXT every single week.
Right.
But for when it's a pay per view or not pay per view for like when it's a high caliber like this, God, there's going to be fans watching. There's going to be people tweeting it. There's going to be people watching on Instagram, TikTok, everything. There's going to be people watching and tuning in because it's Stand and Deliver. It's obviously Takeover. So when it happens like this, you want to see a product like a Gargano or a Walter, guys like that who deliver here. And I think it definitely did in the matches that we needed to see, with the King Cross, with Finn Balor, with stuff like that. I think the women's matches could have been a little bit more other than Io Shirai's. I think that was definitely there.
Her hip has got to be wrecked this morning from jumping off that stage. I said her hip has got to be wrecked this morning from jumping off that stage.
I know, right? I mean, I can't even imagine that match delivered, but the other women's match, they were okay in my opinion. I think this is more of a 7 in my opinion, but I think this was definitely there with Walter, with Champa, with Gargano, with Finn Balor, Karrion Kross. I think they definitely delivered for what is needed to happen. So, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up for us, everybody. Like I said, thank y'all for tuning in. Definitely shout out to Matt Kelly for hopping on with me. It's definitely been a pleasure breaking it down with you. Definitely stay tuned for on Tuesday with Matty Daddy. We're going to break down WrestleMania. So definitely check that out, which I'll have the link in the description below for the Twitter there. So that pretty much wraps it up for us, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Have a good one, everybody.